welcome back. Today I am going to talk about the Jupiter-Saturn square. I believe this is the last of the Jupiter-Saturn squares before we start to move into the Jupiter-Saturn trines, which I'm looking forward to. For those of you who are new here or new to astrology, Jupiter likes to expand whatever it touches or whatever it's interacting with, and Saturn likes to restrict, think about it, lay a solid foundation, be a bit more disciplined, and think more long-term about it, which requires a lot more commitment. So when these two planets are in a square, which can create some stress or tension in order to take action to dissolve that tension or stress, it's sort of like we have one wanting to go and to expand and one sort of holding us back and being a little bit more responsible in the conversation. So this Jupiter-Saturn square is exact, I believe, on June 15th. But in this episode, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail compared to the monthly horoscope, where on June 18th, so a few days after the 15th, when this Jupiter-Saturn square goes exact, on June 18th, there will be a Jupiter-Neptune square. Now, I like to, in my experience, I think it's really, really important to look at the orbs or the degrees at which these planets are sort of approaching each other in an aspect or a conversation. Because a lot of times when the planets go exact by degree and then start to move away from each other, it's sort of like the moment you sort of turn to walk away from that conversation. So I think the days leading up to the 15th, I would say roughly even the second half of June, those of you who are sensitive, who tend to feel things a little bit ahead of time, I would say after going into the second week of June, like going into that second week of June, you could even feel this square. So I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people get hung up on the exact degree, but it's important to take into consideration the applying degrees, which is usually where you start to see things build and unfold. And why not prepare ourselves? So anyways, I'm going to say, to be on the safe side, as you go into the first and second week of June, you could start to feel the effects of this square. Now, this isn't just a Jupiter-Saturn square. Neptune's involved. Neptune is dissolving and refining what Saturn is doing in terms of starting its new journey in this new territory of Aries, where it's been in Pisces for the past couple years. When I see Saturn and Jupiter in a square, I think of cautious optimism. It's sort of the part of us that sees the bigger picture, sees what we want to expand or where we want to create more abundance and faith. But there's like, it's not, the thing I'm thinking about is like, it's not like Peter Pan. We're not just like, flying off doing the thing. We're super optimistic and, so Saturn's there to kind of reel things in a bit. And so it's cautious. It wants to think about it. One thing I think that's very interesting from what I've seen about Saturn, yes, Saturn is a planet of discipline. It has a very bad reputation, generally speaking, where people go, oh, it's discipline and it's hard work and it's this and then that. But if you think about it, why is it discipline and hard work? Why do we put so much work and discipline into something? It's because we crave it. So there is this sort of interesting thing I've been sitting on in terms of the why behind Saturn. And if we really want something and we're really craving something, those are usually the things that we're going to commit ourselves to and persevere through, and are willing to even go through periods of restriction to get to that thing that we really want. So I've been thinking about that whole concept of the why with Saturn, and I like the word crave. So Saturn moving into Aries could, for the next couple years, this could be, yes, a Saturnian journey, but it's also can sort of be a journey where we're building that area of our chart and thus area of our lives, because that's what we're craving long term. So I'll go into, again, if you're new here, I go through each rising sign. It's time stamped, so you can come back to it. You can jump to it. So I'll go into what you might be craving and desiring and sort of committing yourselves to long term, where that could consequently create action to that Jupiter that wants to expand the other area of your chart and thus lives. So with Neptune in the picture, Jupiter is technically also going to square Neptune. And Jupiter-Neptune squares on their own tend to add a bit of the mystical and intuitive to the action we're taking. Sometimes with Jupiter-Neptune squares, you have the planet Neptune, you have the planet that dissolves things, refines things, like lifts the veil, sort of likes boundlessness. And Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance and faith. So there's a lot of grounds for things to kind of get out of control with Jupiter and Neptune sometimes. And even to the point of escapism. But Saturn's there. And I think with Saturn in the picture, I'm not sure how far the boundlessness or the escapism will go with this. So in a way, I'm interested to see how Saturn keeps things in check when we take action around this time. But I also want to remind you, Saturn is in fall by essential dignity. So when Saturn is in Aries, it's in fall. And this could be for better or worse, in my opinion. So I think Saturn in Aries for the better, even though it's in fall, which is basically like a person in a foreign country that doesn't speak the language, that person's probably going to explore and experience things that, they wouldn't if they knew the language or they knew their way around. So there can be benefits to planets in fall. However, I think Saturn in Aries, after coming out of Pisces, can really help us be a little bit more driven and in some ways help us block out people, places, and things and sort of laser in on what we need or want in ways that might even feel really new to us. So some of you might be moving into a period of like, you know what, I've sacrificed a lot, or I've given a lot of myself. And Saturn in Aries is a little bit of a fed up, PO'd Saturn. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say impulsive because Saturn's pretty controlled. But Saturn in Aries is a little bit more willing to do the damn thing. So a little bit more driven, and again, able to maybe even block out the haters, the other people that might distract and sort of focus in on that path. So I think that could be a good thing after being in Pisces, which is a water sign and sort of, challenging for Saturn to operate in different ways. But because Saturn's in fall, this can definitely feel new and like this is unexplored territory where for some of you, this might feel exciting. This might feel welcomed after the past couple of years. And I think Saturn in Aries, generally speaking, can also help us get back to our individuality, focusing on our individuality, right? Pisces is sort of like this boundless compassion, I feel what you feel, vice versa. It's more that sort of water. And you think of water spreads, water flows, water feels, and now Saturn's in a fire sign. So I think this can help us sort of get up and go and get back to focusing on our energy, what we want. Now, the flip side of that, sometimes Saturn in Aries can get, the alternate sort of general identity of like too focused on the self, too focused on identity and individuality. I'm not, in my personal opinion, just working with people one-on-one for so long, I'm not entirely, I don't fully believe that. I think there's a lot of exceptions to that in the natal chart. And I think that sometimes, and again, I'm biased, but I think sometimes it's necessary for us to go through seasons of life where we need to focus on ourselves and we need to focus on what we want because that thing can serve other people long term. So this might be, like I said, a welcomed, what we need kind of transit. And I also want to reiterate, Neptune's there. So Neptune is helping us sort of explore this new territory and say, okay, maybe these are the things that you want to commit to or build or restructure. But in order to do that, what do you want to refine? What do you want to dissolve or let go of before you build that new thing, right? Aries is new energy. So I think this could be a good time to kind of pause and think about what's that new thing you want to embark on. It doesn't have to be this major thing, because for some of you, it might be in areas of the chart that's more internal, more behind the scenes. So again, I'll go through each rising sign and explain what areas you might think about in terms of where do you want to create more individuality, more of your own identity, and focusing more on your own self in that area to take action towards expanding and using that Jupiter that's very well resourced now, by the way, it's exalted, to expand that other area of your chart. I also want to reiterate, this square is happening in cardinal signs. So cardinal is adding another layer of newness. Cardinal, those of you who are listening who have a lot of planets in Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, those are the cardinal signs. Your starters, your initiators, your even creatives and new ideas. So cardinal likes to come up with the ideas and start something new and initiate. So this square or doing aspect, right? Squares are doing aspects to create tangible, concrete, real results. There is this element of newness that we're stepping into. Now, again, I want to reiterate, some of you might feel this going into June or going into the second week with the applying aspects. And some of you might feel the reverberating effects through the rest of the month. But I think the new moon in Cancer on June 25th is going to help sort of clear out whatever action we've taken, whatever we've initiated, whatever sort of journey we're starting around this time. And this new moon can kind of come along and clean the slate, but also help us step into that new chapter. Hello, Aries risings. So the first thing I want to address is the Saturn-Neptune situation now in your Aries first house of the physical body, the self, how you want to show up in the world. Also, the first house is how you take independent action. So Saturn and Neptune being here, I think, can really help a lot of Aries risings roughly over the next couple years to really step into independent action, to start committing to yourselves, your physical body, how you want to show up in the world, your needs, as well as sort of going into, adding the element of Neptune into this. I would say, what no longer works for you? What is no longer serving your physical body, maybe even your health in your physical body? What is no longer serving your approach around how you take independent action? And maybe even start thinking about, where can you refine ways that you approach who you surround yourselves with, your long-term goals, and what brings you fulfillment, whether that's personal or professional, and how that affects your physical body, how you feel in your body, and affects how you take independent action. So the Saturn-Neptune situation, I think, there's always some level of challenge that comes with Saturn, but I think overall, a lot of Aries risings could be stepping into a period of time, roughly the next couple years, where you're craving more strength. You're craving taking action independently towards those things that you want. And that could involve, your social network, your goals, your dreams. It could be career, business, or just the things that bring you fulfillment in life. Now, the good news is now that Saturn is in your first, it is going to sextile your Aquarius 11th house, which it rules. And sextiles create opportunity. So where you're craving and committing to long-term strength and independent action in a way that can make changes that you want to career, things that bring you fulfillment personally or professionally. But it can also create opportunity to expand your social network, to grow your social network long term, as well as committing. It's almost like Saturn being in your first house, ruling your 11th. It's sort of like when you commit to yourself, you commit to your long-term goals. You commit to your dreams. So it's almost like when you start to commit to your needs and confidence and ability to take independent action, you just see this natural opportunity take place to align yourselves to the right people, aligning yourselves to those long-term goals. So for some Aries risings, I think this could be a time where when you commit to yourselves, you see the impact and the change that you want to see with surrounding yourselves with the right people, the people that make you feel good, the people that support your independent action. Now, again, Neptune is there, so it's going to help, I think, align or refine those actions, or maybe help you release ways that you've previously approached this and it didn't really work. The square to Jupiter in its place of exaltation in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate is particularly interesting because the Jupiter-Neptune square going on tells me there is some sort of maybe inner knowing, right? We're dealing with the physical body, yourself, and with the foundational part of your chart, including home, relationships with family or people you live with, or property and real estate. Whatever themes resonate with you the most, focus on those as you're listening, because Jupiter can really give the area of home, family, property, and real estate what it wants. It has a lot of faith. It has a lot of strength and ability to expand and create abundance in this area. So some of you may have been, maybe thinking about moving or relocating, or even relocating long distance or even internationally with Jupiter ruling the ninth. Whatever it may be, it could be as simple as just like a renovation or redecoration. I think the square to Neptune for some of you could indicate that there's a level of intuition or sort of inner knowing. So I would say, like, if there's a vision or you feel sort of intuitively drawn to a particular area or intuitively know what you want to change within your home, I would lean into that a little bit more. That might help you restructure or refine what's going to support you, your individual needs, your physical body, and your ability to take independent action. So there can be this square is sort of like, what action do you want to take where you can commit to yourselves and your own individual needs to expand the area of home, family, property, or real estate that simultaneously supports you and your ability for independent action long term, right? The foundation of our lives, our home, our environment, in many ways is everything. If that's right, if that's solid, if that's supportive, we can do so much in life. So I think this square is going to help a lot of Aries risings take action, maybe in small ways, maybe in big ways, that over time can also create reverberating support to your social network, your long-term goals, and, personal and or professional fulfillment. Hello, Taurus risings. So we have Saturn in your Aries 12th house at this point. So the subconscious, right? The inner vision, the dreams, the area where we have solitude, sleep, meditation. The 12th house is an averse house. So this is more behind the scenes. And in my opinion, the 12th house is more mental behind the scenes. Then we have Jupiter in your Cancer 3rd house of communication, whether that's personal or professional, social events, exchanging information, even relationships with siblings and extended family. So really those people, places, and things within your immediate environment, even your phone, car, laptop, that we sort of overlook. We just kind of, it's there, it's like our own backyard. So we have, with Saturn in the 12th, Saturn transiting the 12th can get a bad reputation. But I think Saturn in the 12th in Aries is an opportunity to really build the mental vision, to commit to the inner vision board, essentially. So start thinking of ways that, and for you Taurus risings, I want to reiterate that The reason why I say the inner vision board is because Saturn rules your 10th house of career, public recognition, or the things that bring you fulfillment in life, as well as the Capricorn 9th house of growth and potential. So if you teach, if you write, publish, travel, spirituality, higher knowledge, any of those things that generate growth and potential in life, it's going to play into this like commitment and like mental build over the next couple years. Other signs, it would be a different story because of rulership. But for you Taurus risings, I think this is like where you can really mentally commit to a new identity, new territory around career, business, public recognition, and the growth or potential in your lives. Now with Neptune sort of meeting Saturn here, there is a little bit of a different story initially. And that, in my opinion, is sort of where can you release the previous version of career, where you thought you were headed in life, where, maybe some of you are sort of refining or dissolving what you thought brought you fulfillment. And now you're sort of on a new journey that might feel new, feels like a new territory maybe for some of you, or you're thinking about taking a new path regarding, knowledge or education, writing, teaching, career, business, or those things that bring you fulfillment if career is not a thing in your lives. So Neptune's there to help say what worked before, but maybe isn't going to work on this new path that you're moving towards. Or it might just say, how can you refine it a bit, tweak it a bit? And again, this is all going to be, in my opinion, behind the scenes. This is going to be happening mentally for a lot of you around building that mental vision board. Now, some things to be aware of. Saturn in the 12th can be a little tricky at times because if you're embarking on new territory or taking new ideas or new paths with the career, the public recognition, again, any of those growth and potential themes, there is opportunity for the creepy crawlies, as I like to call them, to come out. So a lot of times, from my personal experience, like I worked in corporate, I had the big career, and then I moved into this, which is very different. And anytime you embark on a new journey, especially with these ARIES vibes, mentally it can test you, it can challenge you. So I think this could be a great time for Taurus risings to almost like get mentally stubborn about where you're headed and where you want to go and the new things you want to do. And sure, it might shock people. Some people may, not agree with it, but like I mentioned in the intro, I think Saturn and Aries sort of helps block other people, places, and things out. Just sort of laser focus on what you want to build. And for you, Taurus rising, I think everything starts mentally. Now the square to Jupiter in your third, whatever you're committing, in addition to refining or dissolving around the career, the things that bring you fulfillment, growth, and potential, could help you take action in your immediate environment. So it's sort of like some Taurus risings, you might be starting off small, like less is more. So you're mentally committing to something new. You're sort of maybe mentally restructuring the way you think in order to do things differently in your career, in order to gain different types of public recognition or growth and potential in your lives. But either way, I think you could be taking action within your immediate environment. which includes sort of like your own neighborhood, your own backyard, maybe sort of discussing things or expanding relationships with siblings or extended family in order to take that action. Or maybe those people are supporting you mentally in order for you to sort of commit. Either way, Jupiter in its place of exaltation in your third house of communication. Now, this can be communication and technology personally or professionally. But I think either way, this can help you take action to expand your communication and technology, exchanging information, maybe even socializing more within your more familiar environment, to sort of start that rebuild, that restructure of where you want to take things in terms of fulfillment, growth, and potential, or career for some of you. The potential outcomes of this square could be, you could find yourselves after taking action regarding everything I've just mentioned, you could find yourselves really starting to see like a larger network. You could start to see this natural flow of, oh, there's more people in my social network, or there's more people that I'm seeing as sort of opportunistic connections, right? So it's like you're committing to and restructuring the mental vision, that mental vision board, where don't let the limiting beliefs get in your way. Don't let the creepy crawlies come out. And you're committing to that mental vision board that could heavily involve career, public recognition, and the growth and potential in your lives, where taking the action to expand your communication, interacting with people within your immediate environment, whether it's personal or professional, I think you could find yourself sort of connecting with even more new people. And you could start to see maybe synchronicities or this natural flow to aligning yourselves to the long-term goals. I also think that the mental commitment to the mental vision board that some of you can start to think about and really step into for the next couple years is directly, in terms of outcomes, like I think directly going to create outcomes for opportunity to literally the area of your chart involved with career, public recognition, or the things that bring you fulfillment. So yes, it's a square, it's a doing aspect. It can be a little tense, a little stress. But again, squares create tangible, real results. So as you get into June, this is an opportunity to sort of get clear on that mental vision board. Tune out the people that, you don't need to focus on, or, take that action towards your immediate environment. And you might find yourselves meeting new people, places, and things. That synchronicity and that alignment to the long-term goals, where staying true and committed to your individual identity, to that individual vision board, is probably going to create, with the sextile to your 10th house, a lot of opportunity over the next year through that commitment to career, public recognition, and what brings you fulfillment. Hello, Gemini risings. So to start off basic and build on that, we have Saturn in your Aries 11th house, friends, groups, communities, and long-term goals. So social network, long-term goals, with Neptune here as well, which I'll get into in a moment. Then we have Jupiter, hallelujah, entering your second house, which I am pumped about. The Gemini risings in my personal life and obviously professional life as well. I'm really excited for Gemini risings going into 2025 and 2026. because Jupiter entering its place of exaltation in your second house of earned income and self-worth, I think, and also that planet rules your 10th house of career and public recognition, or the things that bring you fulfillment if career is not a thing anymore in your lives. I think this could really be a great couple of years even, where you can really expand opportunities for, finances and self-worth and career and such. So with Saturn in your Aries 11th house, I think this could be a few years roughly of committing to building your social network and committing to your long-term goals in ways that feel different. Like I mentioned in the intro, Saturn in Aries is new territory, number one. And Saturn in Aries is, I think, like, if you're thinking psychologically about a planet, if they were a person, like I said, it's like a person in a foreign country that doesn't speak the language. So it's sort of, you could be sort of restructuring or rebuilding or changing your overall commitment and approach to building your social network personally and or professionally, as well as feeling very different about how you commit to your long-term goals. And some of you on a very basic level could find yourselves literally in new territory around new people. So this can be, in my opinion, exciting for a lot of Gemini risings, where the previous years, maybe a lot of you have felt restricted by Saturn. Saturn still likes to restrict, but I think with Saturn in the 11th, some of you could also be, if you're restricting your social network or you're restricting your long-term goals, it's because it probably no longer feels good or it no longer serves you long-term. I also want to reiterate, when Saturn is in the 11th, it could be a good time to get very real about who you want to surround yourselves with. How do they really support you long-term, but also support your long-term goals, right? If we're committing and surrounding ourselves to the wrong people, groups, and communities, it's kind of hard to commit and achieve our long-term goals. So I think this is a good time to kind of start thinking about that and start thinking about like who's in your corner, who is supporting that long-term. Now with Neptune hanging out around Saturn here, I think this is going to be a time to refine that, purify that, or even dissolve that. So some of you, like I said, might be literally changing where you like you could find yourselves in completely new places, whether it's like you moved or you're traveling or change jobs, whatever it may be. You could find yourself around new people, having to change the way you interact and socialize and commit to certain people or your long-term goals. And so Neptune's there to help you sort of refine it a bit. Why that's important, I think, is because this is square Jupiter in your Cancer second house of earned income and self-worth. So refining and getting clear on your long-term goals, who you want to surround yourselves with that supports your growth and potential, your resources, etc., can help you take action to literally expand and create more abundance financially, as well as your self-worth and your value. So the square to Jupiter that wants to, anything Jupiter touches and moves through, it wants to expand. So, and it's exalted. So it has a lot of strength. It has a lot of ability to do so. And it's in the area of your personal income, your self-worth. So it wants to expand your money, your finances, your self-worth. But the square to Saturn with Neptune is sort of saying to me, in my opinion, it's important to get clear on who you need to surround yourselves with. Like, what is the right social network? Committing to your long-term goals. When you commit to your long-term goals, that naturally is going to help you take action to rebudget or focus on finances or find ways to expand your finances. So that I think the square for a lot of Gemini risings is sort of maybe acclimating yourselves in a new environment, or getting clear on who you need to surround yourselves with, getting clear on your level of commitment to your long-term goals and how that can help you really expand your financial area of your life. I think some potential outcomes with this could be more opportunity to the things that bring you fulfillment, whether it's personal or professional, career, business, public recognition. So I think some outcomes to taking action around everything I just discussed could create more flow to the career or what brings you fulfillment area of your life. The other area that I think could provide opportunity to this level of commitment to the right people, the long-term goals, I think the opportunities coming from that commitment could come from travel, higher knowledge, publishing, teaching, really any growth and potential. So where you're committing to your long-term goals, you could find opportunities or synchronicities coming to you that you can take that can expand your knowledge, expand your belief, expand opportunities for travel, and really, most importantly, that growth and potential in your lives. Hello, Cancer risings. So I'm going to start off basic and then build. So Saturn in your Aries 10th house of career, public recognition, or what brings you fulfillment if career is not a thing in your lives. Either way, Saturn in Aries, you could be embarking on a new journey to what brings you fulfillment personally or professionally. You could find yourself in new territory within your career or business. It could involve undercurrents of, craving more partnership and the things that bring you fulfillment, craving more partnership professionally or in business. It could also be an undercurrent of craving sort of more resources, more long-term financial goals within career, business, public recognition. Either way, Neptune's going to be here around Saturn, helping you refine it or even dissolve the things that aren't going to serve you or help you with this new territory or this new journey some of you are embarking on regarding career, business, or what brings you fulfillment. Now, the square to Jupiter in your Cancer first house, where it is exalted, it has a lot of strength, which is going to be a good thing, I think, for a lot of Cancer risings, is whatever action you're taking regarding this new journey, this new restructuring or commitment to the things that bring you fulfillment personally or professionally, can help you take action towards expanding the self, expanding the independent action you want to take in the world. Now, I think Jupiter in your first house is going to help you feel good. I think it can help you feel like more supported, like you can get those needs met, right? Your Cancer rising, so it's your first house of self, the physical body, how you take independent action. And Jupiter in Cancer knows how to support Cancer. It has the strength and the tools to give Cancer what it wants and what it needs. So I think overall, generally speaking, again, it depends on your natal chart, I think this can really help you feel better in your body. But I think the Saturn-Jupiter square is whatever new territory or commitment or refinement or letting things go around the things that bring you fulfillment, business, or career. I think it could have like some of the actions or reason could be to feel better, to feel more expansive with your independent actions in the world. Now, some areas in terms of potential outcomes, I think is going to be to your growth and potential in your lives. So whatever action you're taking around expanding your independent actions, embarking on new territory, new journeys with your career, your business, your public recognition. Some potential outcomes would be the natural flow and unfolding of growth and potential in your life. So some of you might start to see that taking action on this actually can just naturally flow and feed the growth and potential, which could include spirituality, teaching, publishing, travel. The other thing to look out for in terms of potential outcomes, I think, could be opportunities for long-term financial management or budgets, long-term resources. So sort of changing your approach within your career or your business or generating new things or embarking on new territory and committing yourselves to that can consequently create opportunities for long-term financial success or long-term resources. Hello, Leo risings. Saturn in your Aries 9th house, I think, could increase cravings for more in life. And it could create this craving for more travel, more knowledge, more depth and spirituality, and even like if you're in publishing or teaching, any of those growth and potential themes, I think a lot of Leo risings could be stepping into a chapter of wanting more out of life. Now, also remember that when Saturn enters your Aries 9th house, it's going to start to finally make a friendlier aspect to your first house of self. So whatever you're craving that can increase and improve and expand your life and your potential could have really wonderful effects on your physical body and presence in the world. So hallelujah to that. Now, Saturn in the 9th will be hanging out with Neptune. So Neptune, I think, is going to help you refine or dissolve what no longer serves regarding the growth and potential in your lives. So what I mean by that is whatever you're craving, with it being in Aries, it could feel like new territory. It could feel like, unexplored territory around the growth and potential you want to embark on over the next couple of years. And Neptune being there can say, what do you want to refine or let go of that's not really going to be necessary in this new territory? So with the 9th house being a travel house, I'll stick to this analogy of Saturn being in a foreign country and not speaking the language. If you're in a foreign country, with Neptune's presence there, it might feel a little confusing. It might feel a little like, what's going on here? But I also think if you're in a new country, like a new territory, certain things, certain ways of operating culturally, day to day, may not be necessary in that new country anymore. So when it comes to craving more growth and potential in your lives, and it being possibly even new ways of doing it, new ways of committing to it, there might be this refining or purifying of previous approach, previous tools, where how you used to do those things. So keep that in mind in terms of what you're craving in terms of more growth and potential in your lives, what you want to refine and purify, that consequently could play into your work, your health, and your partnerships. Now, the square to Jupiter in your Cancer 12th house is interesting because where the 9th house is very visible and external, the 12th house is not. So whatever you're externally doing, most likely to go after more travel, more growth, potential, writing, teaching, publishing, knowledge, whatever it may be, there can be a lot of action mentally. Jupiter is expanding your mind. It's expanding your subconscious and possibly even the vision. So some of you might be craving, restructuring, and committing to growth and potential, and taking action on that consequently can expand your mind, expand the mental possibilities that you may have around this time. I think the Saturn and Aries trining the first house, I think, is really going to play into your individuality, your identity. I think it's also going to help a lot of Leo risings after the past couple years focus on what you want, what you need, what your growth and potential is really going to serve you, and how you want to exist in the world in really big ways. So keep that in mind over the next couple of years. The potential outcomes to this square could possibly have some Leo risings making transformational decisions, big decisions that you're not going to go back on. That could be playing into this new territory or new commitment to your growth and potential. Some of you could also see outcomes to long-term financial goals or even resources based off of this new level of commitment and exploration. Some possible areas for opportunity based off of this commitment, refinement, and expansion to your mental vision could create opportunities for personal and professional partnerships. So I think in some weird way, it's sort of like some of you might find yourselves in new places or new territories, mentally or physically, where you're committing to or really craving that growth and potential in your lives after the past couple years, which for a lot of you have had some very challenging transits in your chart in those lives. And it's like now you're committing to this new territory and craving more growth and potential. And through that, some of you might find opportunity within your current or future personal and professional partnerships. Hello, Virgo risings. So I'm going to start off basic and then build. So we have Saturn in your Aries 8th house of transformation, long-term financial management, other people's resources, including a partner's resources. So a lot on the table here. But basically, Saturn in the 8th, as someone who's coming off of Saturn in the 8th, there's definitely this, again, different sign, but this craving or commitment for long-term financial security, this craving or commitment to your transformational growth, a commitment to your decisions. When we talk about transformation, it's doing things or choosing the things that we can't go back on. So Saturn the 8th for the next couple years could bring up your craving and commitment for transformational work or making those transformational decisions that can create mutual empowerment in your partnerships, if that's applicable, but also long-term financial success and resources. Some other things that could come up with this is sort of, you could be, if you have children or you want children, this transit could generate some action for investing in your children or investing to start having children, if that is applicable. That's sort of a theme that I would pay attention to here because Saturn does rule the 5th house of children. The other would be if health or becoming, just focusing more on your wellness, your vitality, if that's applicable to you. You could also be looking at long-term investment in your overall health, work, vitality. Now, Neptune will be hanging out with Saturn here. So there is an opportunity for refinement to what you're craving or committing to regarding finances or any transformational work or decisions. So the refinement can sort of help get clear for some of you on what it is you want and how you want to embark on this new journey. Some of you might be finding yourselves in new territory or embarking on this new journey involving finances, investments, long-term financial management, resources, or transformational work. So it could feel very new. And Neptune's there to say, as you sort of get acclimated in this foreign country with these themes, along the way for a little bit, you'll have some opportunity to say, I want to tweak this a little bit, or you know what, that's not gonna serve me over the next couple years as I want to commit and build long-term financial success, resources, maybe even merging with another if sort of long-term partnership, personal or professional is on the table here, and most certainly transformational work. The square to Jupiter, wanting to expand and create more abundance to your long-term goals, as well as your social network, tells me there could be whatever you're craving or committing to regarding long-term financial goals or management, resources, or transformational work. The commitment and even some refinement to that area could create you taking action, or the square being a doing aspect to your long-term goals. So this could be a wonderful time or a wonderful month to start thinking about the refinement as well as the craving and commitment for the long-term financial management or transformational work that is really going to help you take action to expanding upon your long-term goals and social network. Some potential outcomes with this square could be the commitment and refinement to your long-term financial goals and even transformational work or decisions, where you're taking action to expand upon those long-term goals you could find yourselves having this natural flow and ease within your marriage or partnerships, including professional partnerships. So some of you, by focusing on that, taking action around how you want to merge with another, how you want to create mutual empowerment, how you want to align to your long-term goals, can really help the area of partnership in your life. Now, some outcomes in terms of opportunity could be the commitment and refinement to those long-term goals, long-term financial goals, resources, and transformational work or decisions can really somehow over the next couple years, but certainly some of you could see it even this month in June, opportunities to find yourselves feeling more vitality, more health, and more expansiveness or opportunity within your routine to incorporate more of the work you desire. Hello, Libra rising. So for you, Libra, I'm actually going to add a little bit more detail because I think there's more going on with the Saturn-Jupiter square than meets the initial eye. So I'm going to start off kind of basic and then build upon that. Now, why I think there's more going on than meets the eye, particularly for Libra risings, is Saturn is now angular in your birth chart, which means it's going to square the 10th house of career or what brings you fulfillment and square the 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate and oppose you. So Saturn in Aries in your 7th house of marriage and partnership, including professional partnerships as well, is I think some of your, like, there could be new seasons within your marriage or within your partnerships or even potential new partnerships where it all feels new. There's some indicators of sort of like you're entering a new chapter in your marriage or your partnership where it's a new country, it's a new territory, and there can be, I think, really rewarding things that come from it. But I also think that with anything along those lines, there's also some challenges that come with new territory because it's going to require the opposition to your first house or you is on some level at some point, you're going to have to balance your needs versus the needs of others within these partnerships or marriage. Now, Saturn rules that 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. And if you have your IC in Capricorn or Aquarius, if you do know your chart, it's going to double down on that as well, on those home, family, property, real estate themes. So that tells me it's not just about partnership and maybe venturing into new territory, a new journey together, a new chapter together. There is something for a lot of you that, like a home, relationships with family, a relocation, renovation, any of those themes is somehow being integrated into this new journey. And so even if you're not in partnership and you're single, this could be something changing around the foundation of your life or relationships with family that shifts new people coming into your lives or shifts, how you operate within partnerships, or some of you may be stepping into a season where it's a new way of approaching potential partnerships. Now, Neptune will be around Saturn here, so there is some opportunity to refine and purify maybe relationships with family or your living situation. There could be opportunities to refine or purify things within the partnership to step into this new chapter. And there could be a refinement or purification of things that no longer serve you in your approach to new partnerships coming into your lives. Whatever it may be, I think this is sort of somehow, it's angular. So it has a lot of opportunity to create change and like concrete, tangible change that's going to require you, Libra rising, to do, right? It's going to cause squares in the very foundational areas of your chart and thus life. So you, home and family, partnership, career, public recognition. So there's a lot of potential here for Saturn. But with Saturn square Jupiter, where Jupiter is exalted now, very, very strong, very well resourced in your 10th house of career, public recognition, or what brings you fulfillment, whether that's personal or professional. So Jupiter can really start to expand those themes in your life. Some of you may be changing your work or expanding upon it, or maybe some of you will start to find opportunities to expand your career. That could consequently change the way you attract or make money. So Jupiter will be, creating some good outcomes that I'll get to in a moment. But in June, I think a lot of you might be taking action within partnerships or involving a family or living situation that can create real, tangible results to having a more fulfilled life or being able to expand your career, your business, your public recognition, or both. Now, potential outcomes of this that I think to look out for would be, I think some outcomes through this action this month. Some of you could find yourselves sort of opening up more time in your routine, feeling more vitality, feeling healthier, feeling like you have more time for the work that you want to do, or maybe some side work, side hustles, side businesses even. But all in all, I think that whatever action you take through this, where you're sort of committing to the people you really need in your lives, where there could be a home, family, property, real estate situation at play. I think the good news with this outcome is whatever action you take, I think it can really improve your health and maybe even having a time to balance more of your routines, which have been challenged for the past couple years. So some of you have been either challenged or sort of stepped up the dedication and responsibility around your overall health, wellness, work, routines. And so now I think this is where maybe some of you are going to start to see the fruits of your labor. The other area of opportunity that I would look out for, especially regarding any personal or professional partnerships that are in your life or sort of coming into your life around this time, there could be opportunities through this new commitment or new territory and new ways of approaching relationships or chapters within your marriage, if that's applicable to you, could really create a lot of opportunity for more joy and creativity and self-expression. It could also, if you have children, it could create opportunities to spend more time or to do more things with your children, or even create opportunities for your children. Either way, I think the refinement, the commitment within certain partnerships or committing to your needs for future partnerships and taking action and making those necessary changes can really, I think some of you might find yourselves moving into the summer, especially June, seeing more synchronicity and opportunity through that with, your relationships with your children, maybe even improving relationships with your children, if that's applicable. But I think most importantly, starting to feel like maybe there is new territory that you're embarking, but in some weird way, there's more opportunity to feel more joy in your lives. Hello, Scorpio risings. So Saturn will be in your Aries 6th house of daily work, health, and routines. So this could be a good time to start thinking about what do you crave or want to commit to regarding your overall health and vitality. Or maybe it's less of a health situation and more of craving different types of work or wanting to integrate new ways of working and sort of committing to your routine. So, Saturn, generally speaking, going through this 6 can really, what I remember most when Saturn was going through my 6th, it felt like, I worked a lot and I started to incorporate other types of work in my life, which is why I was working all the time. Definitely the health stuff came up, like really being dedicated and disciplined and wanting to, like that craving that I mentioned in the intro, like wanting to be healthy, wanting to feel good. But in terms of the routine stuff, when Saturn went through my 6, I realized how to maximize my time. I really got, it's crazy when I look back. People would come up to me and be like, how are you doing all the things that you're doing right now? It's sort of Saturn helps us crave, but also get very, like when you crave something, you're so clear on it. You're so clear on whatever you're craving. It's all you can see. So this could be a good time to start thinking about ways you can get very clear on your routines and your time and what you want to commit to and build within that time, whether it's health related or work related or both. Now, Neptune is going to be there to help refine the situation or let go of what maybe worked previously, but maybe it's too time consuming now. Maybe there's a more efficient way of working or focusing on your health that you didn't do prior that now Neptune can sort of help you refine and purify and fix into place. The square to Jupiter in your Cancer 9th house of growth and potential. So higher knowledge, travel, spirituality, publishing, teaching, anything you consider to be something you want to expand regarding growth and potential in your lives, hold on to that thought. Because I think the Saturn-Neptune situation helping you refine and get clear and crave the health work situation and getting clear on your time and routines can help you take action around the growth and potential areas that you want to expand upon over the next year. So a lot of you might be really taking action around committing to certain health and work routines and refining them in some way where you can really take the action to start to expand upon your growth and potential. And some of you, it might be career or professional related. The potential outcomes that could come from this action being taken, this square, I think could create some sort of natural flow and ease to your creativity, things that bring you joy, even children, themes of children, if that's applicable to you. So it's almost like once you commit to the things you want and you naturally find time in your routine to do so, where you can really take action to expand the growth and potential in your life. Again, some of you it's professional. You might find yourselves naturally feeling more joy in your life, more creativity, more self-expression by taking action on those things. The other area of opportunity, I think, is going to come from people you live with, family, home, property, real estate themes. So through the commitment to your health, work routines, and refining them if needed, taking action towards the expansion and even abundance of growth and potential that could take place for you, Scorpio rising, over the next year, you could find yourselves having opportunity from people you live with or family members to help you within your routines, to help you support your health and your work. Some of you might also find opportunity to sort of shift or change up the foundation part of your life or the living situation that feels more grounded or more supportive to your work, health routines, and also supporting the growth and potential in your lives. So definitely keep an eye out as you're taking action towards these themes over, during this month. And definitely look for sort of how you taking action this month is somehow naturally flowing or magnetizing more joy and more of the heart's desire stuff that you want into your lives, but also where there's people you live with or family members that might be ready and willing to support you, to provide some opportunity for you to open up your routines even more, or provide more support financially, physically, emotionally, whatever it may be. So look in the people you live with or family, people you consider family, or your living situation as grounds for what is in your living situation that is literally ready and waiting to be changed to support you, or people, places, and things within that situation to provide the opportunities for you. Hello, Sagittarius risings. So I'm going to start off basic and then build up. So Saturn in your Aries 5th house. One thing I want to point out using whole sign house system is sometimes an individual's IC is in the 5th house, in the Aries 5th house in this case. So if you know your chart and you have your IC in Aries, this is also likely going to have home, family, property, real estate themes weaved into what I talk about. So Saturn in your Aries 5th, I think this is generally going to embark you on a new journey with your children, if applicable. This could be new, uncharted territory with creative pursuits, projects, self-expression, again, children as well, romance, dating, if you're single. So you might be taking a different approach to those things. It might feel like you're walking into an entirely new territory where you're craving and committing to your heart's desire, whether it's through your creative pursuits, your children, romantic situations, but in a way where maybe you've changed it up a bit. Maybe you've changed your approach, or it just feels very different and new. Now, Neptune is there to help refine the situation or dissolve what no longer needs to go with you on this new journey. The square to Jupiter in your Cancer 8th house of transformational work and long-term financial management or goals, resources. This is interesting because it's sort of like whatever you're craving and committing to over the next couple years, whether it's creative projects, romance, things involving children. Again, for some of you, it could be home, family, property, real estate. You could be taking action, and you could be committing and taking action involving those things to expand your finances, to expand your financial future, or to expand more transformational work and decisions in your lives. Now, some potential outcomes that could come up in June based off of this action that you're taking with creative pursuits, children, really home, family, property, real estate for some, but all in all, like, what's your heart's desire moving forward around those themes, and refining it so that you can take action and create real, tangible, concrete results that could involve transformational decisions, investments, assets, long-term financial management, or resources in your life. So expanding those areas. And that could create outcomes to home, family, property, real estate. So whatever action you're taking or investing in, you could find how it creates this like natural flow and happening to the foundation of your life, relationships with family or people you live with. There's also opportunity through siblings, extended family, that could come up from this, as well as opportunities that could come up through communication and technology fields, whether it's personal or professional. So it looks like a lot of Sagittarius risings, you're sort of refining, craving, even committing to new artistry, new creative pursuits and projects, new ways of parenting or building your family, children, relationships with family, even property and real estate, that could really start to expand the financial part of your chart and the ability to create a lot of transformation in your lives. And again, I would look to relationships with siblings, relationships with extended family, even just like your own backyard, your own familiar, immediate environment, people, places, and things within it, socializing, exchanging information, any communication fields, personally or professionally, that could really generate synchronicities or opportunities for more of that joy, whether it's creativity, creative projects, situations with your children, and relationships with family. Hello, Capricorn risings. So Saturn in your Aries 4th house, it's not just a Saturn transit. It's actually an angular house. It's in an angular house now. So over the next couple of years, Saturn has the capability to create a lot of change to you, to partnership, career, public recognition, or what brings you fulfillment. But going back to basics and building upon that, Saturn in your Aries 4th house, a lot of you might be changing your relationship to home, family, property, and real estate, which means you could be setting boundaries or strengthening relationships with people you live with or family, as well as looking into ways you can strengthen the foundation of your lives. And some of you, especially if you have your IC in your Aries 4th house, some of you might be really starting something new. You might be literally laying a new foundation down in your lives to build over the next 14 or 15 years. That feels new. It feels like you're embarking on a new journey or you're in a new territory. The important part about this is that Saturn is your ruling planet. So a lot of Capricorn risings as well as Aquarius risings could really feel this on a personal level. It can also indicate that whatever you're craving and committing in terms of this foundational area of your life, what home, relationships with family, property, or real estate is needed to be strengthened or laid down in new, unfamiliar ways that really can support your physical body, how you want to show up in the world, the things you want to do and take independent action on. So Neptune will be hanging out with this Saturn, helping refine the situation. So some of you might refine the situation, and some of you might dissolve things that you've done previously regarding these themes that are no longer going to work in this new territory. The square to Jupiter in your Cancer 7th house is interesting because the commitment, the craving, commitment, and even refinement around a living situation, relationships with family, home, property, real estate themes could generate action towards expanding partnership in your life, expanding personal and professional partnerships in your life, in your lives, where Jupiter's very strong, is very well resourced here. So some of you might be really strengthening the foundational area of your life so that you can spend more time with the people you love. You can spend more time expanding personal and professional partnerships so that you can focus on maybe your career or things that bring you fulfillment. Some potential outcomes to this square could be a natural flow and ease to your communication or communication fields, a natural ease and flow around exchanging information, socializing, and really your immediate environment. So look for ways how taking action to strengthening and committing to the foundational area of your life, what you want that to look, what do you crave around a home, relationships with family, where you live, what is needed around that? For you to take action to expand personal and professional partnerships, that could just naturally flow and create ease to communication and technology fields, personally or professionally. The other area I would pay attention to in terms of opportunity is the commitment and or refinement, I should say commitment and even refinement to what you're really craving regarding home, family, property, and real estate over the next couple years could generate opportunity for finances, opportunity to increase your finances, transform your finances and self-worth. So this looks like a very foundational shift for a lot of Capricorn risings where you're looking to strengthen, but I think a lot of Capricorn risings, I think you could be craving a certain living environment or relationships with family, or it could be as simple as a renovation or a relocation where you're craving that feeling of home. And in a way where you feel like you can take action towards connecting with others. You can take action towards feeling good in your body and taking independent action, where the opportunities can really, through that, you can find financial and self-worth opportunities. Hello, Aquarius risings. So Saturn in your Aries 3rd house is important for many reasons, but one of them is because Saturn is your ruling planet. It rules you, your physical body, ability to take independent action. So I think with Saturn and Aries for the next couple years, roughly, a lot of you might find yourselves feeling like you want to take independent action, or you could be craving that independent action towards your identity, how you want to show up in the world. Because, with Saturn ruling your first house, it is you, the physical body, but the first house is also where we take independent action. What is your needs? So the second major thing is that for the past couple years, your ruling planet Saturn hasn't been visible to you. I'm going to use whole sign house system. So when Saturn enters the third, it's no longer in an averse house to the first or self. So now you can see the planet that rules you, which is a good thing. So with Saturn in your third house, I think there can be a craving where a commitment can take place towards communication fields, whether it's personal or professional. So some of you may want to communicate, and this could be writing, this could be, media, technology, and again, this could be personal and or professional. And I also think there could be a craving or sort of this new territory you're embarking on regarding that. And so some of you could be finding yourselves doing it in ways that you've never done it before, or literally doing things regarding communication or technology fields that you've never done before, or you're doing it in ways that you're changing the way you do it or did it before. Neptune will be here to help refine the communication, the technology, whether it's personal or professional. So again, any communication fields like writing, speaking, socializing, exchanging information, Neptune is there to help sort of refine, dissolve along the way for some time. The other things that could come up with this is, the third house is siblings and extended family as well. So for some of you, this might be new territory with family, especially if you have your IC in Aries, if you know your chart. So some of you might be sort of creating new boundaries, new structures, or restructuring to relationships with family, how you communicate with family. But I think overall, generally speaking, with Saturn ruling you, also your 12th house of sort of your subconscious thought patterns, your mental vision that you may not share with the world, this might be a time where you start to share it with the world. This might be a time where you start to, maybe it feels a little new or uncomfortable, but you're craving it. You want to do it, and maybe start taking the mental vision board and start taking action towards it in a way where Saturn and Aries can sort of help you tune out the things that might create limiting beliefs or self-sabotage thoughts that will prevent you from doing it. The square to Jupiter in your Cancer 6th house is interesting because whatever you're craving and wanting to commit to regarding any communication or communication fields, technology, again, some of you it might be a family sort of immediate environment thing. Whatever you're craving and committing to over time regarding those things, it could really be in service to the expansion of your work or health. So some of you might be craving and committing to those themes in order to take action to expand feeling vitality again, expand your work because you're expanding your routines, you're sort of finding more faith and expansion in your time and your routines to incorporate more of those things you crave and want to commit to, in communication, technology, socializing, exchanging information. So for some of you, this could be more sort of sometimes the sixth house is like side work, side hustle, side businesses. So some of you, it might be sort of stepping into new territory where you're doing things differently and refining it in a way to take action this month around expanding that work, gaining more vitality, expanding your routines. Maybe for some of you, this is working smarter, not harder. Now, some areas to look out for in terms of outcomes, right? So if we're taking action and squares are doing aspects that create real, tangible, concrete results in our lives, then I'm looking for the outcome. So some potential outcomes for you could, through taking this action, you could find yourselves having more flow and ease to your finances and or self-worth. So by craving, committing, and even refining communication, technology, whether it's personal, professional, maybe a family, sibling, extended family situation, or sort of socializing, exchanging information within your immediate environment to expand the work and or health routines. You could find yourselves feeling just more ease around finances. So for some of you, it could literally equate to money flowing to you. But some of you, especially with Saturn, some of you, it might be you're sort of craving this thing. You're wanting to go into a new, like you're wanting to do it, but it's new territory. It's uncharted territory. And it's a foreign country where you don't speak the language. And it's exciting, but you also got to figure it out. And sometimes doing those things, I think for some of you, it might be like, do I have the money for it? Do I have the time for it? Can I do this? But it's sort of like maybe if you just take action around it, even if it's in a small way, because with Saturn, you have time. You'll find maybe it's financially not as bad as you thought. Or you'll find yourself getting more in touch with your self-worth and your self-esteem by taking that action. And I think that's where it is. So some of you could just be, you could expand your work and see more money flowing to you. But I also think that some of you might be going into like an entirely new territory or chapter and thinking, do I have the money for this? Is this going to generate money in the future? And taking that action this month, hopefully you'll find it's not financially as bad as you thought. That's what I'm hoping that the trine to that financial house will indicate, especially with Jupiter. The other potential area of opportunity is involving your first house of self. So whatever you're craving, committing, even refining, it could create sort of this synchronicity or even opportunity for you to be seen doing that thing. It could create opportunity for you to feel like you can really take action towards it, or you can really start to feel more like your needs are being met. Some of you, you might feel it in the physical body. So some of you might literally have opportunities to move, to take action, to feel that craving and that desire in your physical body to do that thing you want to do and expand again the work and or health routines to put more of what you have faith in and more joy in. So whatever it is, I think at the end of the day, there could be a lot of opportunities for you to feel good and to start being seen doing these things. And most importantly, feel like you can very tangibly take independent action towards it. Hello, Pisces risings. So I want to start off basic and then build up on it so we don't get too convoluted here. Saturn in Aries, especially tying in second house themes, I feel like a lot of Pisces risings over the next couple years, generally speaking, could be sort of embarking on a new journey or finding yourselves in new territory regarding finances or self-worth. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, I think Saturn in Aries can really help individuals focus on your individuality, your identity, your needs, even in slightly impulsive ways. But I think Saturn in Aries in the second house you might, a lot of Pisces risings, you might be sort of entering the next couple years roughly where your perspective or how you use or operate finances changes in ways that is entirely new to you. So you could be craving and committing to your finances and self-worth in ways it's new. It's entirely new. With Neptune in the picture with Saturn, I think it can help refine it a bit, or dissolve outdated modes of operation. So some of you might be dissolving limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging beliefs, or sort of long-term goals that maybe weren't big enough for you. So for some of you, you might be moving into the next couple of years of like, where have I played small? Where have I limited myself with my goals, sort of my mental vision board, my limiting beliefs that has affected my finances and certainly self-worth, where now you might be committing to sort of building something in an entirely new way that could involve finances or self-worth, where you're provided opportunities to restructure your mental thought patterns, to opportunities to sort of restructure those limiting beliefs. Like, that's not where opportunity lies. And also maybe sort of refine those long-term goals so it's more in alignment to the financial future you want to create for yourselves or the self-worth you want to embody. The square to Jupiter in your Cancer fifth house the fifth house is essentially the place of joy, the heart's desire. And so that can involve children if applicable to you. That can also involve creative projects, pursuits, self-expression, romance, really the things that bring you joy and really the things that are your heart's desire that fill you with joy. So the square to Jupiter in this place of joy tells me a lot of you might be embarking on new territory around finances or self-worth that has you taking action around expanding and creating abundance to those things that bring you joy, or creating expansion and abundance to your heart's desire, which again could be creative projects, self-expression, children, romance, whatever it may be. So this is very, very interesting for Pisces rising, because I think you're going to enter this like new country where the way you look at money, the way even in ways where maybe some of you are going to see, like, have the opportunity to see how limiting beliefs or certain things from your past shaped the way you thought about money, your approach to it, or your self-worth, and how that has maybe limited your ability to infuse joy in your heart's desire in your life. Now, this could be personal or professional, but some potential outcomes to this action that you're potentially taking in June regarding finances or self-worth to expand on creativity, joy, heart's desire, or children, if applicable to you, is more ease and flow within yourself. So as you get through June, I would look for ways, Pisces risings, to see how taking action maybe around these themes is going to provide you, your physical body, more peace, more ease, more flow. The past couple years for a lot of Pisces risings have had some struggles. You had Saturn in an angular house causing so much change and requiring you to strengthen and commit to yourself. So now, where can you step into a time where you can have more ease and peace within your physical body? You can feel more expansion towards who you want to be in the world, your ability to feel like you can take independent action, but in a way that feels more ease and more joy. The other area I would look out for in terms of opportunity is going to be mental. So I think whatever you're craving and committing to long-term financially, that is having you take action around having a more joyful life with more of your heart's desire infused into it, whatever that means to you. It seems like there is going to be, and will continue to, you'll have windows of opportunity to change your subconscious. So by taking that action, you could see the change to your mental vision board, how you've limited yourselves, where, what is that mental vision you have for your lives. So you could see the opportunity to witness how everything starts mentally. Everything we build, everything we do, it was a thought, it was an idea. And if we limit ourselves or self-sabotage ourselves, it prevents us from making it a tangible reality.